Thanks for tuning in. I want to make a video. It's a legitimate concern. So basically, the problem is that the birth control pills do not actually prevent the pregnancy. It doesn't actually stop the conception from happening. So basically, there's a baby boy or a baby girl that has been successfully. So the pregnancy is viable. Okay, this is a healthy baby boy or baby girl that has been conceived. Congratulations, you are now a mother. You are now a father. Okay, so the pregnancy is a three-person team. Okay, there's the baby, there's the father, and there's the mother, right? So the whole thing about it's a woman's body, that's yeah, yeah. So the mother's a half of the parent, right? One half of the parent, but it's a three-person team. Like I said, it's the baby, the mom, and the dad, right? So that is what's going on. So the pill, the birth control pills, does not actually prevent pregnancy. It just causes early abortion at the stage of implantation, which is a horrible tragedy. It's a nightmare beyond. It's a nightmare beyond the stuff of any kind of Hollywood horror movie, anything like that. Right? This is actually happening. Early abortions happening millions and millions of times. These healthy, viable pregnancies are just being lost for no reason at all. And the selling point is that, hey, it does not cause pregnancy, right? Because they're lying when the pregnancy actually starts. They're saying, oh, the pregnancy starts at the implantation stage. Well, that's not even scientific. That's completely false. It's nonsense, right? What kind of nonsense are you saying? All right, so basically the point about what I'm trying to say in this video is that I have a legitimate concern. My son, my wonderful, wonderful son, he's my best friend. He is my hero, like literally my hero. I love him so much, man. My son, he's 16 years old, right? And he's to the age where I'm sure that he's going to start dating and everything like that, because I was doing that. I don't know what 16-year-olds do nowadays, but it certainly seems like the thing to do. At 16 years old, you're going to try to get a girlfriend or whatever. So let's say, for example, they're going to take a study break and everything, and they're going to engage in I hate to say it, but premarital sex, right? Let's say, for example, that happens, and then the girl is, oh, don't worry, it's okay, I'm on the pill, right? So basically, it can be, it's okay, I'm not gonna get pregnant, but she is, right? The baby's gonna be conceived, right? My son could become a dad, right? And just like I was, right? I was at the age of 16. I was playing in bands, and playing guitar in bands and all this stuff, and getting with all kinds of bouncing around from girlfriend to girlfriend and all this stuff. So what I'm trying to say is, it's very plausible, and you can certainly reasonably expect that to happen for my son, right? So let's say, for example, my son. So what about me, right? So I have no right as a grandfather. Like that would be literally my direct male, descendant, right? Yeah, or whatever you want to call it, right? My bloodline, my lineage, my legacy would be killed, right? It's a legitimate concern. So my concern is that I don't want my grandchild to die, right? It's a legitimate concern. It's a legitimate concern, and I have every right to criticize, right, the government for putting out these deadly. It's not medication. It's certainly not a medicine. What are you actually correct? There's no illness in need of medical correction, right? This is not, natural female fertility is not some illness that you need to correct, right? There's no problem here, right? What is the illness? Is it the natural fertility of the woman, or is it the baby, the illness? These people are twisted. They're not doctors at all. They're not. They're some sort of abominable lunatic psychopaths that give these death drugs, right? And my grandchild literally could be at risk if my son chooses to go on the dating scene and everything like that. I mean, he's a fairly handsome gentleman, right? A young guy, right? He's 16 years old. Like I said, when I was 16 years old, I certainly had no difficulty getting any kind of girlfriend, right? I had many girlfriends by that time. I was 16 years old. Like I said, I was playing guitar and playing up on the stage, and these girls were looking at what kind of life was I living, man? It was awful. But if I would have known that, had I engaged in this kind of fornication, the act of fornication, and my child could have been, or not could have been, would be in danger of death, right? To pay the ultimate, price of the death penalty, the ultimate, penalty through no fault of his or her own, right? The baby didn't do anything wrong, right? Why did the baby need to pay the death penalty, right? This is a death penalty case. It's exactly what it is, right? So for who? For the killer doctor, right? Well, I mean, we're not savages. I mean, this country, Canada doesn't, give death penalties to to multiple murderers. That's been abolished. But what about the baby, right? He's paying the price, and what is his price? Is the death penalty. He paid the death penalty. My son's brother, right? My son's brother died, right, because of these birth control pills, right? So abortion, birth control pills, and all this stuff, right, causes death, right? And that's the whole point of this video. So my concern is, I don't want my son to get with his girlfriend here, or whichever girlfriend that he chooses, because he's a handsome guy, right? There's going to be some girls that are interested in oh, but it's okay because he got some windbag doctor like Dr. Michelle Dow in his ear, in her ear, and the girlfriend's ear, and saying it's okay, you can engage in fornication. There's no risk. There's no risk at all. You can do any kind of thing you want. You can get with Chad, you can get with Tyrone, you can get, and all this stuff. It's perfectly safe. There's no consequences. She's lying. She's lying. She's absolutely lying. These doctors are wicked, wicked deceivers, right? And they deserve what's coming to them. And there's certainly going to be a punishment. I'm not the one that's going to, file the lawsuit and all this stuff. No, no, no. That's already automatic. That's going to be done already. So these people are going to pay. These people are going to pay. But what are they actually doing? Right. So these doctors are getting in the woman's ear, and she's young, right? She's vulnerable. She's underage and legally and physically incapable, mentally incapable, right? The physical brain development has not, you know, it has, there hasn't been enough brain development to properly understand the mechanisms of action of the birth control pill, so that she cannot legally consent. Informed consent. The whole point about being a doctor is you have to explain what this prescription does, right? She doesn't explain that the conception could still be viable and that the pill causes early abortions because the baby, literally the developing human at the early stage of implantation will fail to implant because of the mechanisms of action of the birth control pill, right? So my concern is I don't want my grandchild to die. It's a legitimate concern, right? It's a legitimate concern. I'm not, making trouble by making these videos. What kind of trouble am I making? This is a legitimate concern. I don't want my grandchild to die. I don't want my grandchild to die. And these birth control pills do not prevent pregnancy. I don't want my son to get with his girlfriend here that doesn't. She's perfectly fine and wonderful and beautiful and healthy and smart and all this stuff, but she doesn't necessarily understand the mechanism of the mechanism of action that causes the early abortion of my grandchild. Right? Oh, you got nothing to say. You don't have a uterus. Yeah. It's my grandchild, literally the same DNA. This is my continuation of my bloodline, right? My legacy, right? My direct male bloodline is going to be killed because of these birth control pills. You see why I'm getting upset, right? Anyway, it's serious. Right? This is a serious matter. Yeah, very, very serious matter. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'll see you. See you in the next video.